Welcome, Jonathan. Excited to have you here today. Everything that I've seen you doing on Facebook and across different places on the internet around AI has really been eye-opening to me because you're catching stuff from so many different inputs for so many different AI platforms, talking to people who use this stuff every day. That really, there's so much to keep up with, so much to learn. It really helps to have people like you come on and share with others in our audience really what is important to bring to the top of everybody's attention, because there's so much out there, especially around AI as a buzzword of the year. So tell us, what do we need to know? What are we missing out on? What is there behind the scenes that's happening that we really should be talking about and telling others and doing ourselves?
Well, first, thanks for letting me chat and inviting me to do this. I'm thrilled to do it. You're right. There's so much going on in AI. I think one of the problems that most people run into is just where to start, because we hear all of these, there's all these different platforms, and then there's specialty platforms, and then, we're getting sold on courses, and we're getting sold on lists of prompts and everything else. And at the end of the day, what I really try to encourage people to do, Matt, is just try to simplify. In other words, you can be super effective by just implementing a couple of basic tips. And that's what I hope to talk about today to make your prospecting more effective. It's way too easy to get lost in the weeds and to, paralysis by analysis. And I want to encourage everybody that's listening in, if you're looking at figuring out how can we use AI to help increase your prospecting efforts, to help maximize those efforts, don't worry about trying to hit 100%. We want to hit 80% first. Doing something effectively is better than doing nothing at all. And I think probably the biggest thing when it comes to that is using one of the three primary tools that are out there. And when I say that, that's going to be either ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or Claude. One of those three. Any one is fine. They're all going to do a good job for you. And what I want to encourage people to do, especially when it comes to prospecting, is to use these tools to help personalize the prospecting that they're doing to that prospect, reaching out to them and personalizing those messages, whether that's a cold email that we're literally taking the information we have on the prospect and, scraping their LinkedIn profile, and based upon that LinkedIn profile, we're mentioning something about them, something that's personal, something that makes our messaging, our prospecting, our outreach stand apart from everybody else who's either, one, just immediately pitching us, or two, engages in an incessant and annoying conversation without ever getting to the point. And I think those are two extremes that are easy to fall into. But I think with AI, we can leverage that very effectively in most cases. And my practical tip for today will literally be about this: using that contact information, pulling up their social profiles, generally LinkedIn, and then customizing that outreach to specifically resonate with them. So if I'm trying to reach out to you, Matt, I can find out enough from your LinkedIn profile. And by the way, I'm going to use ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude to analyze that and pull that information. Then I can customize based upon that. I can customize now my outreach to you to make sure that you know that I actually spent more than 12 seconds getting your name off of a list and pressing send, and making that prospecting much more personalized.
Yeah. Can you show us an example of a prompt either on your screen or just walk us through verbally and tell us what prompts you would use to analyze the profile and also to generate the personalization?
Yeah, I'd be happy to, and I can walk you through either way. Let me describe it first, and if we've got time, I can share it. If not, I'll be more than happy to do a Loom video and send it to you, and you can share it with your audience if you want. Awesome. What I recommend when it comes to this is start with ChatGPT, because it's the big player. Just go ahead and get an account with ChatGPT. Spend the $20 a month. It'll be the best investment you made in your prospecting. Then I want you to go ahead and I want you to install a tool called harpa.ai. It's HARPA.ai. And this is a browser extension that works inside the Chrome browser. So it works on PCs, Macs, whatever. And when you go to LinkedIn, you can bring up the Harpa extension and it will analyze that LinkedIn profile for you. And versus boring everybody walking through it here, again, I'll do a video for you if that's okay. Is that okay to do a Loom video? And then you can share it with your audience. Harpa will then, it uses ChatGPT, but it analyzes that profile and pulls out the relevant information. And I can even say, I'm looking to do cold outreach to Matt, and I want to find the best way to do that based upon the information in his profile. And not only will ChatGPT then analyze that profile, but it'll come back and give me specific suggestions and say, all right, Matt has a cat. We want to make sure we mention that. Matt, and I just saw the cat. So that, I'm not doing it off your profile, but I'm literally just, the little bits that I saw here. And we can talk about that. And so it's going to identify key characteristics as well as awards you've won, jobs you've held, skills that you've been given reviews for, all that type of thing. And then what we're going to do, we're going to pull that information back into ChatGPT. And again, you could use Gemini or Claude as well. That's fine. And we're going to basically have a canned prompt that we put in that says, I need to create a cold outreach, either series of emails or text messages or phone call scripts, however it is I'm going to be out. Could be a combination of these. Right. And I want to make sure that they're targeted to Matt McQuinn.
Yeah.
And just that fast, by feeding in that information that we got, along with that standard prompt, and I'll share that with everybody in your audience, they will be able to create customized solutions to reach out and prospect to everyone. Cool. Now, does that guarantee everybody's going to respond? No, but imagine if we could double or triple our response rate on our existing outreach. What would that mean to us as a sales team if we could get 2 to 3 times the response rate out of that? And that's what we're seeing happening with our clients as we work with them, is we're oftentimes seeing actually more than 5 times the response coming through in many cases,
really,
because we're able to personalize it. Now, again, it's not as fast as bulk sending everybody the same boring message, but it doesn't have to take very long, literally minutes. And that if a couple minutes can turn that prospect into a much, much better likelihood of converting, I think it's a great way to use AI to do that. There's so many other things, but I really want to focus on a simple way that every rep, every sales organization listening today can target and can improve their prospecting yet this afternoon if they want to.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of the strengths between, obviously there's so many different players trying to break ground in AI right now. ChatGPT kind of being the leader that everybody knows about, at least publicly. When should you use something different? Is there a right or wrong answer to choose Gemini or to choose Claude or ChatGPT for this particular use case?
For this use case and for a lot of use cases, the 3 models are very similar at this point in time. They all have great capabilities. Everybody has their preferences, and I'm sure everybody listening is going to be screaming, hey, no, you've got to use this or you've got to use that. Any one of them are going to work fine. It's kind of a Chevy, Ford, Dodge discussion. If I want to drive a truck, I can find people that want Fords, some that want Chevys, and some that want Dodges.
Right.
They're all going to get me down the road. And that's really what we're talking about here. You're going to have your preferences, but they're all okay.
Yeah.
In fact, most of them are going to be good. The biggest difference is the reason we want to use the HARPA tool is that ChatGPT currently does not do a good job of accessing the internet. They keep turning that feature on and off. Okay. Gemini will do it occasionally when it feels like it, but sometimes gets a bit cantankerous. And Claude does not have the ability to do that. So by using the HARPA tool, it automatically will look at and scrape the page that you're on to be able to pull that specific data. We still need to get their contact data because we need to find them and we need to be able to get their LinkedIn profile and all that. But once we've got that, then HARPA can pull some of those specifics like Matt's black cat out that I can talk about as I'm reaching out and understand more about how we're going to do that. So I do think ChatGPT is needed because that's what HARPA works with. Okay. But again, it can even work with the free version of ChatGPT. Those are the 3 Goliaths. More than anything related to your question, Matt, I want to encourage people not to feel that they need to buy 2 things that I know every salesperson and every sales department's getting pitched. One is the list of 787 perfect sales prompts that you need to buy. It's a waste of your time and money because every one of those prompts is going to be something really stupid simple, like write me a blog post or, create a cold email sequence without any details. That's not going to help you. So don't buy those. The other one is when it comes to tools, we all get pitched every day about all these specialty AI tools that are out there. With rare exception, and I'm not going to say there aren't any, but with rare exception, those tools are simply not effective at adding any value to your sales prospecting. What they're doing in 99% of the cases is they're putting lipstick on top of ChatGPT. They're using the ChatGPT interface, and they're just creating a different user experience for you. And oftentimes they're charging you 10 times more money. So not something I recommend. Just use ChatGPT, use Gemini, use Claude, combine that with Harpa, and you can really enable your sales team to just really up your sales prospecting game, and most importantly, up the effectiveness of those campaigns.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you tested pulling information from the website versus the LinkedIn profile to generate a custom intro message? And what were the comparison and results, if so?
Great question. Yeah, we've actually done both, and both can work. We found LinkedIn tends to do a little bit better when we have that LinkedIn profile, because I can make it more personalized to you. So obviously I can go to your website and I can pull information about your company, and it's fair, but it's generally the same type of information that anybody's going to get if they go and they spend 30 seconds on your website. The LinkedIn profile has a tendency, because we share more information there that's more personalized, we have a tendency, in order to get better, more unique aspects, something that's going to, again, when we're talking cold outreach and prospecting, I want to figure out a way to cause a connection with you when I'm doing that outreach, because we know that everybody else and their brother is doing it as well. And nobody wants to get that LinkedIn message that talks about, so tell me how you're doing today. You don't care how I'm doing today. You don't even know who I am. I don't know who you are. But if you can reach out, and this is off the top of my head, and say, hey, Matt, I've been wanting to reach out to you. I saw your video the other day, and I noticed you've got a beautiful black cat with a white spot on his face. I got a cat too, by the way. Oh, by the way, here's what I want to talk about. The chances of you interacting with that message are, I can't even imagine, 1,000 times better than the how are you doing today that most of those prospecting messages start with. So if you don't have the LinkedIn profile, the website's a great place to go, and it's a solid secondary. But if you do have that LinkedIn profile and you have the ability to get that, and I know in your case, when working with you guys can almost always get that for us. That's a huge value to bring into the stable when it comes to that prospecting.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm a big fan of trying to consolidate as much of my tooling as possible. Obviously, many people watching this use high level for that reason. Everything's under one roof. I think we'll probably see some of this take place eventually with AI, and everybody's trying to incorporate. It's kind of bolting it on. Even Coldlytics in ways is using AI that supplements areas or improves areas that otherwise it wouldn't if we didn't have it. And my question to you is, on the sales enablement side, when you're actually taking the data you've bought and you're going to do your outreach, have you seen any outreach tools that you've played with that incorporate some of this AI personalization, or have an AI element that sets it apart from a different outreach platform? And maybe it's not something you've tested. Just curious.
We've done some testing on it where we've seen more of the value than anything else has actually been on the chat bots that are going on your website, or possibly an automating a campaign where, high level, for example, gives us the ability to, when a response comes in off of a cold campaign, maybe we're doing cold email outreach, they give us that ability to analyze that response. And based upon that response, we can literally connect right with ChatGPT and their API and be able to have ChatGPT analyze that response and craft a customized, unique, and personalized response back to that. So once we've got that engagement, there's some really cool ways to integrate that. And I'm a fan of high level. I love how they can do that. It would work with any platform. It's not necessarily have to be unique to high level, but that's a great way to do it. And basically what we're doing, for simplest terms, for those people that are going, what are you talking about? We're simply taking that message that comes back from the prospect, that affirmative raising the hand, and we're determining, was it positive? In other words, is this a positive message that they're interested in something? Was it telling you to get lost and we need to now punt or try something different? And then instead of just having 3 or 4 what if statements in there that we're going to follow, if it's positive, say this, if it's negative, do that, we're actually going to have AI analyze that and do what we call a sentiment analysis on that. And it's really simple. It can all be automated. This does not have to be manual.
Okay.
And based upon that sentiment analysis, it can determine what the next best steps are. And we can give AI and their tools the ability to say, here's our goal. We want to move this conversation in this direction towards booking an appointment or towards a whatever, again, that ultimate goal is for that prospecting. And AI can do that. And the benefit of, again, a high level or any other marketing automation system there is that that's not done immediately. In other words, if you send me a text message or an email, I don't have to respond in real time like we're talking here today, Matt.
Yeah.
So it gives AI the milliseconds it needs to analyze and create the response and maybe respond in 10 seconds, which on a chat message is just fine, or maybe respond in 3 minutes, which on an email is just fine.
Yeah.
And so, but as far as specific tools, no, I haven't seen any that excel over another. There's been so many custom implementations. I can't recommend one and say, here is the right solution. I think more than anything else, this is why Coldlytics is so valuable, because you need the right data to begin the process with. Once you've got the data and we know how to get in touch with those prospects, now we can utilize AI to effectively make sure we're doing it. And also something we hadn't really talked about is we have the ability to take all those prospects that don't respond and create very unique nurture campaigns to follow up with them, to try to hook them at some point down the road. One of my favorites is it's actually called a Seinfeld campaign. You may have heard of that. And it's much like the show Seinfeld. It's much about nothing, but it's interesting, unique stuff that's designed to get the prospect to basically raise their hand and go, okay, this is interesting. And that can be done so easily with AI nowadays, as opposed to the way a year ago that we tried to do those things.
Yeah. It's interesting. One of the things that I find hard about keeping up with what's going on is, in addition to the many different areas, if you're running a business or even just if you're focused in sales, to try and stay on top of and keep current on, is where you really should get this information from. Because it seems like by the time I see most things that I really wish I'd seen sooner, I'm getting a really dumbed down, poor version of somebody trying to sell a list of prompts, for example. And then I'm going, oh man, I should have learned about this a long time ago. Why didn't I get this from somebody better who is more educated in this stuff? So who do you follow? Obviously, you're a great person to follow. Anybody who's watching this, if you're not following Jonathan, please do. He's got a great Facebook group that we can send a link out to later for this stuff. But where do you recommend people pay attention? Where do you want people to get information for AI-related sales and marketing stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question. Most of the time, what I'm doing is I'm actually just paying attention. I've got a news feed set up that is searching for basically AI and sales, AI and marketing, AI and cold outreach. And it's pulling in articles. And then I actually have AI analyze those articles, believe it or not. So when those come into my feed, I have a chat bot that goes out. I'm using ChatGPT, and it goes out and it reads the article, and it then gives me a quick summary back. So at the end of every day, I have a spreadsheet that comes back and says, okay, we found these 27 articles. Here's the ones. And then it ranks them on a scale of 1 to 10 for me, because I don't have time every day to read all those articles.
For sure.
That all happens in the background and costs me pennies a day to have basically an AI assistant find the articles, read the article, rate the article, and then give me a summary. And that means I've got to read maybe 1 out of every 50 articles that comes in. And that's doable. That's something I can do. So, and again, I'd be happy to share that with anybody if they want to see how we're doing that. Super easy to do. It's just using standardized tools. Again, I'm not a big fan of all these custom solutions. There are some that are great, but the vast majority of them that I see, it's just somebody that's putting lipstick on top of another application for you.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. Do you have that link that you can drop for your Facebook group actually now in the comments? If you can't, send it to me through Facebook and I'll publish it here in the comments for everybody. I don't know if you have the ability to comment on the screen.
I can grab it real quick here in a minute. So
let's do that.
Let me just grab it here as we're talking. Nothing put me on the spot. And
any section of this. I mean, it's just what you should be doing is paying attention to this group. It's the #1 spot that I get my information on new stuff and with AI. And if I come across new stuff, I send it to Jonathan, and then he pushes it out to other people too. And I'm not the only one who's funneling stuff through to Jonathan, because you've ultimately made yourself a thought leader on this topic, and it's really fun to chat and network and learn from somebody like you on this stuff.
So I think that went over to you, Matt, in the private chat. I didn't connect into the
Okay.
comments, so but
Yep.
it's there, and you're welcome to
Just
share
for
that out.
everybody.
Anybody's welcome to join. That's a free group. We don't, we just try to add value there, and there's over 85,000 other entrepreneurs there that are using it. So it's a great place to ask questions. You'll get some great answers.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Thanks for having us on, Jonathan. Sorry for the distraction. We have she's
love the
probably a
cat.
4-month-old kitten, and she's a bit wilder. This is the first time I've had a live stream that she's jumped into, so I'm gonna have to close a few more doors later today. But
I actually think it's a great thing, Matt. I think it's made it memorable.
Good. Good. Hopefully brought some life to it for everybody else as well. So thanks again for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
All right.